But for whatever reason, this is no longer being held as a norm for Black America. It doesn't matter if we're hanging in the wrong crowd. It doesn't matter if we're actively helping our boyfriends move drugs, which is what Breonna Taylor was actually doing, okay?
These new age of Republican conservative grifters, individuals who are not real conservatives, who don't care about policy, who don't care about the people. What they care about is denouncing Black people in order to make white conservatives comfortable and then for them to be able to make money off of, such as Candace Owens.
So it's the Candace Owens, is the Officer Tatum's, the Jason Whitlocks, the Tommy Sotomayors of the world, that they put out there to repeat the racist stereotypes and tropes and things that they say about Black folks because they're Black.
You start to see things work in that cycle, right? Every now and then, there's always a prominent Black figure who decides to latch onto all of the anti-Black talking points they can latch onto because they know that there is money to be made when they can get behind some foolery and some nonsense. She is definitely one of those people.
The only reason we know you is for coming at Black folks. It's because you were the Black face they teed up to come at Black folks. That's the only reason we know who this person is.
And one thing racist white people love more than anything, almost more than mayonnaise, is watching black people
tear each other down.
Black people publicly. They love it and they salivate, and that's why you're making so much money.
Yeah.
Candace Owens, for all you out there who try to defend her, Candace Owens had been getting paid very well. She's been getting a big bag from the Daily Wire, a right-wing publication known for spreading racist messages about Black people. That in and of itself is enough for me to say, the hell with her and anybody that support her.
No, what she was and is a Black face that is able to parrot white supremacist talking points so white folks can hide behind her and say, see, you can't call her racist because she's Black. She can say the same stuff that we would say, but we would be labeled as racist if we said it. But we're going to have her say it. Say you can't call her racist because she's Black.
You know it's real. You know it's real. I had to come down and address this. Candace Owens, a.k.a. Megan Kelly in blackface, has lost her job and she's trying to electric slide her way into the Black community and seek some type of support. But, you know, I even heard she's trying to play spades. It's very interesting that you built your platform on slandering Black people, and you thought by being a house nigga that you had the complexion for the protection.
So she got on the Breakfast Club and she got on there bragging about how Ben Shapiro, who was the co-founder of the Daily Wire, who she was working for, didn't have the authority to fire her, and the next day he got her fired.
Brush it off, shrug it off. Black people have the cops called on them because they're barbecuing in the park. Black people get accosted by Karens just trying to deliver packages. A little Black girl just selling lemonade gets accosted. Black man who's in the street, cars barely in the walkway, gets viciously attacked, saying she's gonna call the cops. Candace says, those things are not racist. Just brush it off. Shrug it off.
That's the audience she decided to run behind and capture because there was money there. She knew that she could be a mouthpiece for anti-blackness and white supremacy, and it would pay her very, very well. And so, since 2017, because she magically became a conservative overnight after something else happened that made her pissed off, and she just jumped and did a full 180 and latched right into the nonsense. And so for years, we have watched her gaslight and go on these platforms and spew all these horrible talking points and things where it's like, how can you even sleep at night after saying some of the stuff that you said? And
This broad was the face of a network that when it came to racism against black people, she was front and center, spreading the message.
here's my thing. Now see, she spent her life fighting to stay down in the trenches of anti-blackness because it meant that she could have a personal come up and an individual come up at the expense of black people collectively. And she has broken her neck to do all that nonsense for a check. And now that the money is funny, you see how people start moving. And this is—
So you want to drag black people for profit, and then when the money dries up, just send us the "Hey Big Head" text to see if it's cool to come over. You know what? Not my crib.
Candace Owens. You know, it's pretty sad that a lot of black people in America, especially on the internet, are being basically hypnotized by these really conservative black people out there who are basically trying to paint her as some kind of neutral party. This is one of the best talking points they love saying. Why are you looking at the headlines? You need to listen to her character. You need to listen to her story. Her recent interview was so enlightening. I mean, she's such an intelligent person. We got to stop canceling people because of the headlines. Yeah, today after she lost her check from one of the most racist platforms because she's been racist consistently for 6 years against black people, she finally lost her job and now she sounds more reasonable.
This channel is unfriendly to buck dancers, tap dancers, and the like.
To Candace Owens in her rebrand. And that's fine if you want to have a rebrand, but we don't necessarily have to accept what you're selling, you would think.
So Candace Owens got fired from the Daily Wire, and I don't make this type of content anymore because I think it's toxic, but this shit I had to say something about. And this is for all the people that sit up there and thought that Candace Owens is the most intelligent woman on the planet and this and that. Notice how Candace Owens could talk really bad about black people. She could talk about George Floyd. She could talk about black people being murderous and terrible and all this other shit, right? And they didn't cancel her for not a single thing that she said that offended black people. How she got away unscathed with that. But once she started hitting a little bit too close to home with Ben Shapiro, I'm not gonna say what he is out loud because they might suppress this video, and I want this to reach as many people as possible. The fact that when she started hitting too close to home to him, that's when they had a problem. And then
she's recently, of course, you know, she got fired from the Daily Wire. She claimed parting of ways. No, you got fired.
So the interesting thing is Ben Shapiro fires her for anti-Semitic rhetoric, but he never had a problem with anti-black rhetoric, and anti-immigrant rhetoric, and anti-woman rhetoric, but anti-Semitic, that's gotta cut ties, gotta go.
Can't lose the reason that Candace got fired from her job in the first place, which is she started talking about the Jewish community the same way she has been talking about the black community, and forgot that they actually are the people who signed her paycheck, and she was summarily shown the back door. You came to talk about everybody else crazy the same way you talk about your own people, because you're only useful in talking about black folks to them. You are not useful criticizing the Jewish community or Israel or anybody else, and therefore she was given her walking papers. It's an important point to make on that.
Candace is a Republican talking head who has officially been fired from the Wire and relieved of her do-girl duties. Now she's doing everything in her power to circle the wagon back to the black race.
Now it all makes clear sense now. The same people she talked about, the black people, the black woman, all these people that she was going down against. Now look, as soon as she said something about one of them, she has to leave. She's no longer with them. But it makes sense because she was on Joe Budden's podcast. She was on the Breakfast Club. So now you got to revert back to the same people that your ass was sitting talking about. Now you don't have an outlet to say nothing now because they pulled it from you because guess what? You was talking about them. Long as you was talking about us and anything that had something to do with what they felt, you could do that. But as soon as you said something about them,
and so one thing she needs to understand is that the very racists who put her on different platforms and wanted her to use her as a tool of anti-blackness, they're tired of her. They are dismissing her because she is no longer of value to them. And that is a very cold place to be in, Candace. And you know what? I don't feel for you.
So that's what happened. She got comfortable. She thought she was one of them. She thought she had built up such an audience that she couldn't be canceled. No way possible they're gonna kick her off. Hey, those people love her. They love Candace. They love Candace as long as she was disparaging black folks. They loved her. As long as she was talking down to black folks, as long as she knew her place, they loved her. They loved what she had to say. But once she crossed that line, boom, she was done. She was done.
When the tides turn, when doors are closed, when opportunities get cut off, when the source of the money gets challenged and compromised, what do folks always do? And I said this literally on the last live. They always start trying to rebrand to come on back home to Black America and come to the black folks. So next step is, hey y'all, I finally watched BAPS. I saw Friday and Boys in the Hood. I understand now. Wakanda forever, Black Power. And I'm like, nah. It ain't that easy. You don't get to just jump back up in here and think.
So now, since Candace has been fired from Massa, she wants to come back to the black side. So she's making her rounds in black media, trying her damnedest to generate an audience from black people. Because Massa has kicked her out of the big house.
And so Candace posted this. The most brutal smears I ever faced was the media's attempt to convince black people, my own community, that I hated them. Finally, Black America is recognizing that they were intentionally misled. That's interesting. That is thanks in large part to the Breakfast Club interview and Joe Budden.
And I gotta say this to the black men that are choosing to prop this woman up, because I'm only seeing brothers do it. I'm seeing the Breakfast Club do it, and I'm seeing Joe Budden do it, which I'm super shocked. No one is taking this woman to task on these interviews. I'm tired of these softball interviews with this woman who said outrageous things about your people.
So she has this interview with Joe Budden, and then she also has the Breakfast Club interview. So on two high-profile black platforms, and that's fine. But if you're going to interview someone, do not softball them questions. They absolutely softballed questions and never asked about some of the most controversial things that she has said. Like, they were so excited to just have her so they can get the clicks and the likes.
So I'm like, okay, she's been on the Breakfast Club, she's been on the Joe Budden podcast, gave her some slap on the wrist interviews. I'm like, see, y'all let these people come on here and they can disrespect us all day, and then when they come on y'all shows, y'all don't call them out on anything.
But that's the game. There is no integrity. It's what's gonna get clicks. Right. She damn sure ain't apologized to black folks that were triggered by how she talked about George Floyd and Kate for the Officer Chauvin and saying that he wasn't guilty and called Breonna Taylor a drug dealer. She ain't apologized to black people for nothing.
Yeah, so Candace said, oh yeah, racism exists, but not against black people. Racism exists against white people and against Asian people. This is the kind of stuff that she has pushed for 8 years.
Isn't this you with the White Lives Matter shirt on? Yeah, that was cute. And no, it wasn't done ironically, as we would react to that now. This was back when the All Lives Matter crowd was active, but you just had to take it that whole extra step.
This chick is the same one who called Breonna Taylor a drug dealer, who brought her death on herself.
And then when it came to Breonna Taylor, and for me, this was a sore point because I remember being on this platform dragging people because folks wanted to sit here and be stupid. But for her, this is her tweet. Idiot take. Breonna Taylor, and this is, again, her speaking but mocking folks. Idiot take. Breonna Taylor must have been shot because she was black and not because her boyfriend was a career criminal drug dealer who fired at police first while she was standing behind him. It's Ray, R-A-Y-C-ism, racism. And I'm like, see, here we go. Now, we've already seen the outcome of what happened with the Breonna Taylor situation. We ended up discovering, okay, there was a whole police cover-up, there was police misconduct, police were charged. No, the boyfriend that was in the apartment was not a drug dealer, and no, she was not standing behind him. She was shot in her bed, right? But again, the idea of stripping away the narrative of truth and helping to paint a narrative of the idea that black people are always criminals and that when black people are unjustifiably killed by the police, you know, there's a reason behind it and it's justified. And I want us to also get out of the habit of thinking that, you know, it's normal for police to just keep going and killing folks, because when she does that, that's what she's endorsing, the idea that, oh well, you should have complied, you should have did whatever. And so she painted the picture of Breonna Taylor brought it on herself, right? Somebody who had her own 9-to-5, had, you know, and mind you, understand, the boyfriend that was in that situation that, you know, ended up shooting at police because the police did a no-knock warrant, showed up, half of them weren't in uniform, and he's thinking somebody's breaking in, and he defended himself because any other time, she's also somebody who loves to tout and run around talking about guns save lives. Now here's somebody who's using their Second Amendment right. You want to criminalize him. Why? Because here's a black man, and he fits the description of exactly what it is that you want to speak out against, because again, there's that demographic and that collective that you want to appease because it puts a bigger paycheck in your pocket. So that was some nonsense in regard to that. And she never backtracked with the Breonna Taylor situation. Once it was discovered there was a police cover-up and people were charged, and then you found out it was even bigger, and it was even an entire gentrification deal, like all kind of stuff going on, all kind of corruption behind Daniel Cameron and crew. You haven't heard any kind of backtracking. Then
go to my first of all, here's what Candace Owens had to say about Ahmaud Arbery. Ahmaud Arbery was caught on camera breaking into an unfinished property that was owned by Larry English. His mother has confirmed it is him in the video. Please stop with the just a jogger bullshit narrative. Avid joggers don't wear khaki shorts and stop the break into homes. Black man gunned down by racist in Georgia. Those racists were actually convicted of that, but she sides with the racists.
Ahmaud Arbery, the same thing. This is the individual that we saw get shot and killed by them racist people, right? Who are all now who've been convicted, right? But before the convictions, what did she say? Ahmaud Arbery was caught on camera breaking into an unfinished property that was owned by Larry English. His mother has confirmed it's him in the video. Please stop with the just a jogger BS narrative. Avid joggers don't wear khaki shorts and stop to break into homes. We get to the trial, people are convicted. Turns out he wasn't doing nothing but jogging. But again, she never backtracked. She still runs it and runs with those same viewpoints because she knows that, again, it fits the narrative of how people want to see black men in that specific image. Same thing with black women when we talk Breonna Taylor.
Yep. Oh, she added. Black America when 9-year-old Tyshawn Lee is lured from a basketball court down an alleyway and shot dead by a black gang member, crickets, which is a lie. Black America when a repeat burglar is shot dead after breaking into a home, racism, injustice, protest. Our culture is a joke. No, actually, the joke's on you, Candace.
In fact, you specifically referenced a tweet where LeBron denounced the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, saying, why does this happen? Because pea-brain celebrities that are idolized, like King James, tell young black men that they are literally being hunted. This is the natural result of such hyperbolic, dishonest rhetoric. The racist, anti-police, Black Lives Matter lie is to blame.
She did an entire documentary. On George Floyd, saying that what we saw with our own eyes isn't what happened. That George Floyd was not killed by Derek Chauvin kneeling on his neck for 9 minutes.
People don't remember that she did an entire dedicated teardown to George Floyd. Like a 20-minute, this man's life, his problems, everything she could do, essentially, bro,
to discredit or to make it look like
to justify his death.
Yeah, his death didn't matter.
To make it seem like, no, the police weren't wrong. This guy was a big, bad criminal. This is who she is. And
Here's the deal. I think it's very cool that Peter Rosenberg basically put out on his Instagram that, for the most part, was like, hey, I understand people want the money, but I need to be able to look myself in the mirror every night. I need to be able to know that I'm leaning on morals, and that right there is not moral. So there was a little back and forth. Obviously, someone saying it's okay to exchange, different ideas, differing opinions. But this is what he said, and he ain't even black. This man was like, I am so tired of this opinion. Of course, conversation with different views are great, but not when the view is of hate or bigotry. Like, why does it take someone that does not even look like us to speak for us?
Didn't you make a documentary to exonerate Derek Chauvin and in it demonize George Floyd as if Chauvin was carrying out some kind of sentence? Because that has to be it, right? Because otherwise, what relevance did any of it have? But then you double down on the nonsense on your podcast, threatening to sue George Floyd's family, saying I have grounds to sue George Floyd's family for doing this little PR stunt. Now,
Candace, be for real. Stay on over there with that nonsense. Like, for me, there's just too much damage. It's one thing to sell out an entire collective of people because you're trying to get a check, but it's another thing to constantly double down and build bigger platforms and end up on panel discussions and news shows and get work published, spewing out things that aren't even true. To literally make a documentary about a man who was murdered in front of the entire world by police officers who sat on this man's neck with no empathy as he pleaded for his life, and we all watched it in real time. And for you to be so pressed because you're all about comforting, again, that same demographic and making them feel good about their terrible decisions, that, you make a documentary.
Every time a black person was killed by the police, she took the side of the police. I'm talking about innocent black people. I'm talking about over trivial things, over nothing. She took the side of the police every time.
We were being gaslit and told we're emotional. There's something wrong with being emotional because you see people who look like you literally get murdered on camera.
Which means for all of you who want to ride with her, if the police ever get around to you or your loved one, she's gonna take the same position.
She was working for Turning Point USA, working for Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, his organization is the one that has put Kyle Rittenhouse on tour. These are the folks that she runs with. The people who push these racist stereotypes.
And it's because, like I said, Candace knew that she needed to build her brand in the space of how terrible can I be? How can I make it so that everything that comes out of my mouth is so obscene and out of pocket that, you know, my name is always going to be in the headlines. And of course, in that same conversation, I'm going to throw some tidbits in there that make sense, to make it seem like I care about the people, to make it seem like I just want things to be normal. So yeah, I'm going to attack all these different people, and then I'm going to throw a little tidbit in there that sounds logical and nuanced. So that way you realize that I'm still human. So she knew by building a brand of just being straight up terrible, right, that she could win over that Ben Shapiro demographic.
The thing that was going on was Candace Owens was consistently and constantly denigrating black folks for the amusement of white conservatives.
Exclusively. She is known for being critical of the black community, not being an asset, not being helpful, not actually offering solutions. All she does is point out deficiencies and perceived shortcomings. That's her hustle. And she does it, or she did it, at the behest of the Daily Wire, who is known for spreading anti-black rhetoric.
Now, when it comes to Candace Owens, listen, it's okay to have difference of opinion with people. Debate and exchange of ideas is good. It's a good thing. But she does not exchange ideas. She actually spews anti-black hate, which is incredibly crazy to me because the NAACP helped her win a lawsuit. So I'm still confused as to when she made this turn.
She dropped out of college, but one would think she dropped out of high school, which, by the way, she earned $37,000 for suing her high school district because she received racist phone calls. But there's no racism, girl. Please.
Well,
you know, Candace Owens, if you look into her past, when she was a young girl, she needed the help of the NAACP for racism.
And got it.
And then got it. And then turns around and then turns her back on the same community that had her back and supported her against that racism. So with her...
This the same woman who, when she says that she was discriminated against or she was treated wrong by white racists in Hartford, that her family called on the NAACP to advocate for them, who later on would say that the NAACP is irrelevant. Yeah, but you called them. You sure called them like Tyrone, though.
That's the downside of when you choose to be a mouthpiece for white supremacy for your own personal come up. Yeah, the opportunities are going to be there. You're going to climb the ranks. They're going to platform you. They're going to put you everywhere you want to be because you are saying the language and the narratives of what it is that they want to hear. But the minute you step out of place, the minute you start having an opinion, because again, when you're being that mouthpiece, you have to play into the program. You don't get to have thoughts. You don't get to start all of a sudden speaking for your collective and calling things out if it doesn't add up. No, that's done, because the minute you do that, you're one of them. So they're putting her back into the one of them category. So now,
ignoring all of that humiliating history, not to mention the economic lynchings that took place. When we accumulated, many were lynched. I think of the story of Isidore Duncan, wealthy black man in Arkansas, had money in his pocket to go pay his workers. He was so wealthy, he had sharecroppers. They found his body chained to a tree and lit on fire. Found him 3 days later. And there's stories like this, you hear me all the time. I can tell these stories. Ida B. Wells' 3 friends started 4 to compete with a white man. They were lynched. Economic lynching. This girl has no knowledge, but she talks bad. The particular clip that I was most incensed by is when she said, we have made more progress after slavery than we have now. She ignores the entirety of the history that I'm researching now for my book about lynching, the lynching culture, the wealth gap, and reparations. She ignores the fact that we might have had more had there not been laws put into place to prevent us from accumulating, laws put into place to prevent us from going to school.
Remember now, Candace Owens never voted in her life until 2020 election. She didn't even vote for Trump in 2016. She didn't vote. Never voted until 2020. But she's the person that folks listen to when it comes to politics. Somebody who never voted, never championed any legislation, never lobbied for any policies or anything, but she was the political guru.
So like that, again, no education, no work experience, no justifiable reason to have a conversation with them on these issues at all, no level of expertise, and they will give them just directly those talking points for them to recite back in public as actors. Remember, and so when someone like Candace Owens shows up, you have to understand how to specifically point out and understand COINTELPRO when you see it. That's just a voice that's created out of nowhere. That is a thing the young people, Gen Z now, they call them industry plants. They just show up out of nowhere. Suddenly they're put into the limelight, put into the forefront, given a voice, and the only thing they have to say are things to tear down and destroy the black community. Candace Owens is no different than Sexy Red or Ice Spice. Just a creation out of nowhere, no known talent, no known ability to actually produce anything positive for the black community. Their only use is for the majority culture to destroy black communities, and that's all they are, the modern version of COINTELPRO industry plants that are used to tear down black communities.
Now y'all willing to let Candace speak on behalf of black people? Come on, man, stop playing with me. I mean, Candace done spent 8 years dogging y'all out, selling you up the river.
This girl is full of nonsense, and so for me, I just need people to remember that this is what she's decided to latch and lock herself into. So just because some white men done kicked her off to the curb, she doesn't get the sympathy card all of a sudden because she endorsed and played into that same narrative, played into that same system, made lots and lots of money. I'm talking 6 and 7 figures by spewing out anti-black talking points, by being in the way. Being in the way. Do you know how many people use her as a reference to justify racism in this country? Do you know how many people use her as a reference to try to gaslight other groups of people who literally show up with stats, numbers, documentation, ordinances of the city, different articles, amendments, all this different stuff that highlights the structural issues that exist in this country in regard to anti-blackness and how racism affects people on a structural level? How many people use points that she's made to try to justify the nonsense? And because she has black skin, they say, well, if she feels this way, that's how y'all need to be.
Some Negroes out there, I've seen some of the comments like, oh my God, I mean, you know, I kind of agree with her. And, you know, now I got a different view of her.
And all y'all started feeling bad for her. She's still a black woman. She's growing on me. But she's right about Palestine. So we can forget the fact that she went to Congress. There was a House Oversight Joint Subcommittee hearing about the issues of white supremacy in the black community. And the Republicans called her as a witness. And she testified that white supremacy would not even make her list of the top 100 issues facing black America.
There's a lot of people who think that what she says is very witty and she has a point, but something that I want to remind our audience is it's simply being a contrarian does not equal intellectualism. Just because you say something counter to someone else doesn't make you right, doesn't make what you're saying factual.
And so we're now in a space where there's something that can piss people off at 9 a.m. and by 10:45, people have moved on to something else. And so when it comes to Candace Owens, now I'm seeing this whole space where folks were trying to act like, oh, you know, she really just wants what's best for us as a people and so on and so forth. And now they're trying to make her out to be a Sada Shakur and, you know, Betty Shabazz and, you know, she's Medgar Evers' wife. You know, she's just like Fred Hampton. She one of us. Now all of a sudden she Malcolm X. I said, if y'all don't be for real, if y'all don't go and be for real, I said, ain't no way, just because you done seen a few tidbits where she doesn't sound as cuckoo, all of a sudden y'all want to act like she's about the people. Please.
I don't think anybody who is self-loathing, who castigates their own people for the benefit of their oppressors is brilliant. You know, that, I just don't think so. I don't think you get the moniker of being brilliant because you have mastered parroting white supremacist talking points that malign black people.
How easily are you persuaded? How easily are you manipulated? You gullible dummy. Somebody says a few things that you agree with and then proceed to throw you under the bus. Throw your whole people under the bus.
This is the brilliant woman that y'all talking about. The one that's growing on y'all. The one you want so badly to let back into the cookout.
I just wanted you guys to be aware of the grift, the hustle, and the rebrand that's taking place. And because they know you will not remember where she was at on George Floyd. You will not remember where she was at on Breonna Taylor. You just won't. But now that she's sitting up there with Charlemagne, DJ Envy, and Jess, hilarious, it's all good. And now we're supposed to get cozy as they giggle about relationships. Hit the button.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
And
okay, she when she was asked on the Breakfast Club why she married a white man, you know what she said? She had to marry a man who matched her IQ. Let me interpret that. Because you N-words are too stupid. Black men are too dumb for me to have married them.
And I feel like her answer about why she chose a black, and to me, this whole story is not about her having a white husband. That's the smaller part.
Right. Okay.
The fact that she said, I date on my IQ. Were there no black men that you met along the way that had a high IQ? It kind of gave to me, and I'm protective of a black woman, but I'm also protective of a black man. You will not shade the black male community and say that you just could not find a black man with the IQ that could match yours. Or maybe your IQ was so high that they knew not to date you because that would be reckless.
Wait a minute. And then let's talk about IQ, sweetheart, because you didn't even finish college. You dropped out. You dropped out of college. So had you stayed in college, you may have met a black person with an IQ in that college. You're the one that didn't finish.
But are y'all really about to let Candace Owens back in the cookout?
That's what she's doing, fam. She knows that there is a considerable amount of dummies in black society who love, they love to forgive. If they had a school called Forgive, they'll go to it.
So she has spent her relatively short 8-year career talking grimy about black people. And while I agree with her on her criticism of Israel and the genocide against the Palestinians, being correct on that one issue doesn't absolve her of the damage that she has done over the last 8 years. It doesn't give her a pass to come back to the cookout.
Some of y'all so slow. Some of you are so stuck with that Stockholm syndrome, the police could actually clap you and you'll apologize right before you die. You big dummy. You be laying on the ground, bleeding profusely, apologizing. I'm sorry, officer. I'm sorry I had made you kill me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Her role is to make sure that they stay comfortable. And by her being that token Negro that can say all the talking points that they want to hear, they can feel justified in their viewpoints by her endorsing them. So that's kind of how she moves.
You rocking with that? If you rocking with that, boy, I don't give a damn about you.
Oh, Candace. Girl, I love this for you. Now don't go out there playing the victim. You knew what you were getting into when you did it. When you lay down the box, baby, rise up with fleas. Go look on the job search.
She knows that. She knows. She ain't got nowhere else to go. She done burned those bridges over there. They done cut off the purse strings. Now she knows, well, I'm just gonna double back to the blacks. Because they'll accept anybody. They'll take me back. They're dummies.
Pulling the rug. Guess what? I hope you got your money right.
So the level of self-hate to be a black person, to volunteer to show up as a minstrel to white audiences, to make fun of black community, and then now to try to come back into community, you know, that's a deep psychological issue, and that makes her unsafe to Black America. And I think that's what many people don't understand when we say she is dangerous to Black America. She is not safe. She has demonstrated that she will sell us out, and we don't need any more sellouts. We need people to step in and continue to build our communities, not show up to hostile environments that don't like our communities and stand with them to make fun of us in the situations that we're in.
But this the sister who, cause the Daily Wire fired her, and because she was right on the issue of Israel, y'all want to give her free reign back at the cookout to steal y'all stuff.
When you look at her track record for the last almost decade, it is not rooted in anything about the progression of black people collectively. It has all been about her and herself and her paycheck, and I am not falling for it. So I see exactly how you're moving with this. And so she's testing the waters with black folks first. Let me see how they're gonna respond to some of these things that I'm saying, because I can always come home to my people. And I'm just like, nope, this is...
But I know grifters like Candace Owens, like that fool, Officer Tatum, whatever his name is. I know when I see them, and what you're not gonna do, you're not gonna use us as props in your redemptive tour after you attacked us mercilessly for the last 8 years.
When people show you who they are, believe them. If they show you they don't care about black people, believe them. If they show you they're an opportunist that will sell you down the river, believe them. Don't be letting them back in the cookout, okay? If Billy stole your TV at the last family function and then he stole your radio at the next one, don't let Billy back in the house. He's a thief. Plain and simple. How many times he got to steal your stuff for you to get it?
Yeah, what y'all Candace Owens fans got to say now? Because guess what? She's reverting back to the same people she talked about. Now she needs to involve herself with the black community, the African American community now. Y'all don't think that shit is weird? As soon as they go out there and they get too high up on that horse, and then them people come knocking their ass down, they come right back knocking on our door. No, we don't want you. Stay your ass over there. Y'all know what to do. Get in the comments. Let's go. Because Candace, you're out of there.
So no, Candace, you on your own on this one. You can stay over there with that. You wanted to roll and get worms and everything, go over there and enjoy. Do not bring that nonsense over here, because that's what you built for yourself, so enjoy it. Let that be a lesson learned. You know, you play foolish games, here come the foolish prizes.
Nevertheless, you persisted. You chased every dollar they had to give to cover their anti-blackness. But finally, the financial future of the fraud looks a lot like, well, glorify. And you want to dip your toe back in black water. Well, I know you struggle with the lyrics to Good Times. That was understandable. You got to grow up in a black home to know that one. But here's one you may know, being the smooth criminal that you are. We told you, don't you ever come around here. Don't want to see your face. You better disappear. Self-hatred's in her eyes, and her words are really clear. So beat it. Just beat it.
What do they say? Bye, Felicia, something like that? That just disappear. Candace, the friendly ghost, go away.
So again, run along, Candace. You made it clear you didn't care for black people. You made it clear who you were comfortable with. So by all means, stay with them, because we have absolutely no use for you in our pursuit to end inequality and to fight for justice and for righteousness when it comes to people of African descent in this country. All skin folk ain't kinfolk, and you absolutely will be rejected at any cookout.
No, this is not the time for black folk to be feeling bad for her because the white folks that she trusted gave her Negro wake-up call, which we knew was coming. This is the time to hold her accountable.
I don't give a damn how big or small your platform is. If you ride with her, kick rocks barefooted at a concrete plant.
This ain't no damn unity party with punks. This ain't no unity party with people who don't want the true liberation of black people. This ain't no unity party with betrayers and snitchers and hypocrites and weak-minded, weak-blooded, spineless people. This ain't that kind of party. So you take your raggedy ass on home. But those who want liberation,